Next week, the BBC will launch its crass and indefensible drama series about the crimes of Jimmy Savile and those who facilitated him. We've spent the past decade being hammered with footage of Savile and interviews with his victims and the people he worked with. We know exactly what went on, we know who was culpable, and we know that some of them are still receiving a BBC pension. We know far more than we'd like to, in fact. We know enough to seriously damage our faith in humanity. What does a dramatisation of these events achieve, other than to distort the truth? We know what this dramatisation is about for the BBC. It's an insidious attempt on the part of the organisation to exculpate themselves. They've called this television abomination The Reckoning, suggesting that those responsible for Savile are going to be held accountable. But in true BBC style, it's a shameless propaganda exercise, a rewriting of history. According to those who've been permitted to preview the dramatisation, it focuses heavily on Savile's relationship with then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. It focuses on the Catholic Church. It focuses on Savile's relationship with Charles, Prince of Wales at the time. The BBC audaciously and repugnantly attempts to shift the blame onto anyone but themselves, and predictably, the blame lands on tried and tested BBC targets, the Tory party, the royal family, and the church. Pathetic and abhorrent propagandising. Let's say what's already been said 1,000 times and shouldn't need saying again. The BBC created Savile. They handed him the status, the power, the legitimacy, the free rein to become the monster that he became, to commit subhuman atrocities. Without the BBC propping him up, facilitating him, Savile's just some sad little man, friendless, isolated, sat in the corner of a Wetherspoons on a weekday morning with no power to do the horrific things that he did. Savile is the BBC, and the BBC is Savile. No surprise either to see the hard-left activist Steve Coogan in the lead role as Savile. Entirely inappropriate, of course, to cast a lightweight comic actor with no range in the role of this life-ruining monster whose many victims are still very much alive and trying to escape this despicable ghoul from their past. Whatever role Coogan plays, he always brings to the role overtones of Alan Partridge, which, whilst usually just vaguely irritating, in the context of him resurrecting Savile on camera, is absolutely grotesque. Is it a joke? Were the crimes of Savile just a joke to these people? This Savile drama is an appalling waste of licence fee payers' money, and there's no argument that can be made to support its existence. I'm doing live stand updates in London and Southampton this month. Ticket links beneath this video if you'd like to come along. Please do like and subscribe and support me on Patreon for exclusive content.